Sweden has announced that it is now based because they've had an election and they did the good things.
They voted to be based.
Yes, they voted based party, and based party and their coalition seems to have won. So I guess we're looking forward to what the Swedes do with that. But firstly, just going to mention some stuff on the website, of course. This one being the most recent contemplations on sneaky journalists, because sneaky journalists are the reason Sweden is in this mess. I mean, there are literal leaks coming out of every left, right, and centre in the last couple of decades.
Yeah,
of
this
how
was
journalists were suppressing everything.
Of course. Yeah, this was a fun one. We didn't necessarily go into specific details and analyze it in any, really academic way. We more just went through a bunch of articles that we found that were very clear and obvious examples of media manipulation and lies, and just pointed out everywhere because, seeing the real world examples might just help people out there.
Yeah, and if you're in Sweden, you'll be no strange to that, I imagine. Because if we go to the election results now, we can have a look at how the public have reacted after being propagandized for years and years. And as you can see there, Sweden Democrats, the second biggest party, with their other parties in the right-wing coalition making up to now the government.
So for those of us who haven't done a crash course in Swedish over the past few days looking into this, so go back up to the top, The ones in yellow are the based ones, right?
Sweden
that
Democrats.
Sort of golden browny colour.
Yeah, they're the only guys who we've seen in mainstream politics who have lots of seats and just keep growing every election.
And who are the ones in red who've got more than them?
Social Democrats, a bunch of commies. So,
okay,
there you have that. The thing is with Sweden's elections and multi-party democracies like them is it very much seems to be some kind of trench warfare, just with results. You might notice that the shift between parties is 2%, 3%, minus 7.7%. It's very small, but that's just how Swedish elections seem to go, just very slight deviations. But over time, it's finally added up. The only growth you can see in here as well, of course, being the Socialists, Sweden Democrats, and the Greens. Everyone else losing out on their vote share, which is definitely interesting. And if we go to the next link here, we can also see they're already complaining. The media are already complaining that the Swedish Democrat voters, the based voters, are the most loyal. Yeah, funny that. It's almost like people who don't want leftism vote for the non-leftism party.
Wait,
I'm amazed.
Most loyal to what? Their party or their country?
Their party. They'll actually stay with their own party. And it's because there's a myriad of left-wing parties that you can jump between. It's maybe that's annoying.
Maybe they care about their country.
Yeah. If we go to the seats itself, because of course this being the important thing, as we can see there, the coalition of right-wingers, Sweden Democrats being the biggest party there, now have one seat, which is one seat over the threshold. That was enough.
So they won.
That's it. Yeah, they won with one seat in the coalition, which is hilarious to say the least. Just that's how close it is in Sweden. But there you have it. I also just love that it's finally here. I mean, for anyone who's been paying attention for a long enough time to anything to do with Sweden, the only stories you ever hear of grenade attacks, migrant attacks, how, they've printed more armbands that say "Don't rape me" in Swedish for Swedish girls.
Did they work?
No, the rapists don't speak Swedish.
They didn't work this time?
No.
Maybe next time.
They had to print them in Somali.
Oh, okay. Did they work then?
No.
No, maybe next time. Okay.
It's just really...
Did they say the magic word? Did they put a "please don't rape me"?
There was I think it was a Swedish minister or some EU minister in Sweden who had their own daughter raped and then did a collection for refugees at the funeral after she was killed.
She was killed?
Yeah.
I remember in...
It's just my point is that just Sweden has gone through decades of madness.
Yeah, Scandinavia has been gaslighting itself and been massively abused. I think it's in The Strange Death of Europe. Douglas Murray recounts a story of one of these Scandinavian politicians or politicians' daughters being abused like that and then coming out in public afterwards and being like, well, I can't go and blame the migrants, can I? I mean, the circumstances they come from.
She didn't want to bring charges against her rapist. Because, well, here's a mind.
There is such a thing as being too tolerant.
Yeah, and if you're new to the horror show that is just anything that comes out of Sweden for the rest of us, then I suppose we'll look at why on earth would they do this? Why on earth would they vote for them? Well, it turns out Kaplan Sweden here, this is a meme to represent all Swedish politics over the last few years, isn't actually a viable policy strategy. Just saying, yes, Sweden.
But look at his strong thighs.
So tolerant. It's unironically ridiculous.
He can crush fascism with those strong thighs.
Yeah. If you wonder what the hell this meme is birthed from, it's from the examples we mentioned, but also if you go to the next one here, this is polling done in 2014, apparently, of European countries' views on non-EU migration. And as you can see, most of Europe and the, let's say, Western sphere, as you might dub it, they're really not too sure, but in the middle.
They're not fond.
No, you have the Mediterraneans and the Eastern Europeans who are like, no thanks. Just no more. No, we're good. This is in 2014. This is even before the Great Migrant, crisis.
This is before everybody knew better.
2016, in which Mama Merkel said, "Please come." And you can see the Swedish at like, what was it, plus 70%? They're just like, yeah, everything is great. We love printing these armbands.
We've got all the meatballs.
Anyway.
That was not a Swedish accent. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't. But you can see in here, just in the comments, I just love going back and checking out the Internet Archives, because there's some Danish commenter who writes, in some way, I really admire Sweden. And then some Romanian just responds, yeah, sure, just give it 20 years.
Well, not even that.
It didn't take that long. Romania, don't worry about it.
Don't worry. Like a battered spouse, we've all learnt the hard way.
It took 8 years. It took 8 whole years, but the Sweden Democrats are now going to be in government, it seems, which will be interesting to see. I know the coalition forming apparently is taking place, so maybe there'll be some skullduggery, but I hope not. But if we go to the next link here, we can see just some lovely Swedish scenery. So this is an Indian poster who is posting, for people listening, a video. The video has, I don't know, about several hundred Shia Muslims.
Some beautiful native Swedish culture.
Yeah.
This is a midsummer celebration, isn't it?
So this is, I believe it's Shia Muslims at Ashura. Ashura is a festival of mourning for, I think it's like one of the battles that took place in Islamic history that none of us in the West care about.
See,
could not give a crap.
That's very, that's very interesting. The only other context I've heard the word Shura used in is in a Japanese context, in which I'm pretty sure, and I learned this from a video game, Sekiro, so correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure it means like a demon of hatred.
It's actually Ashura, so it doesn't even...
Oh, Ashura. Okay, well, it sounds close enough.
Yeah, well, this is a festival, and there you have it in Sweden, as it natively has been for 1,000 years, untouched. And it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just comical, to say the least. The Indian poster saying, this is Sweden, we are halfway there, our future will be worse if things don't change and people don't accept the real cause. It's like, it's kind of annoying when as a European or someone in the Western world, you have to ask the Indians to please snap us out of it. It's like, yeah, no, this isn't a good idea, trust me. Pakistan's worse than you think.
Well, yeah,
it's like, who would know?
The Indians and the Pakistanis, not best friends.
No. Speaking of Indians and Pakistanis, though, Pakistanis have also been posting the exact same footage, of course. And they're very happy about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course.
Yeah, here's some Pakistani accounts, legit as well. Someone saying, this is not Afghanistan, Pakistan, Saudi, or Bangladesh. This is Sweden. Sweden is becoming a new Islamic country. Isn't that a good thing?
This is just, we're winning, lads, isn't it?
Unironically, from this Pakistani poster who is very happy about the situation.
Sweden, do you want random Pakistanis on Twitter to be able to dunk on you so easily? No.
I mean, I kind of do because it's funny, but, for the Swedish people, not so much. If we go to the next one here, I just want to mention, Ashura is also, of course, celebrated in Kabul, of all places. This is actually when I was there. I happened to run into this chap, Lewis here, who was from some Spanish newspaper, but good photography, as you can see. This area there, if you go to the right, walk down, there's a lovely Shia market who are celebrating Ashura. That's what all the flags are about. Under the previous American government, they stoned a little girl to death for burning pages of the Quran, allegedly. There's no actual proof, but
We really brought freedom and democracy, didn't we?
Yeah, and since the Taliban have taken over and are far more moderate, I'm joking, of course, but it's what it is.
I know you had a good enough time.
Yeah, there's also the fact he mentions in here, more than 120 people from this community have died in terrorist attacks in Afghanistan these days. Yeah, there's Lewis telling you what will happen. What's the culture like in Kabul? What happens if you bring that culture to Sweden? It doesn't become Swedish. It remains Afghani. And you will get those problems, which is why Sweden has these problems, to say the least. However, the Swedish political class still haven't got the memo. Because if you go to the next link here, this is a really funny story from the campaigning. So this is a Sweden Democrat who is being condemned for a racist tweet. What did he say? Next stop, Kabul. Ooh. What was this in reference to? The Sweden Democrat MP, Tobias Andersson, has been criticised for a disgraceful and a racist tweet in which he posted a picture of a train in the Stockholm metro, which is a party had paid to have been covered in their logo. He said, calling the train the return migration train, you have a one-way ticket. Next stop, Kabul.
Hey. Sounds pretty good to me.
What's wrong with that? Kabul's lovely. Are you racist? You think Kabul is a bad place? It's a fantastic place. Look, they have the same flags they have in Sweden. The Centre Party's leader, Annie Lööf, said that the tweet was disgraceful and racist. Oof. Why? Why exactly?
Also, even if they were, oh well, don't care anymore.
It's not. It's obviously this. They've just decided. Oh, he's saying that's a foreign place, so that must be like race or something. So you haven't thought about that for a minute, which is that no, Kabul actually does look like places in Sweden, as evidenced by the footage, and that means there's nothing wrong with this tweet. Because again, Kabul's a lovely place. What's the problem with Kabul? I thought we loved diversity and inclusion. Anyway,
it makes us stronger, doesn't it?
Liberal leader Johan Persson. I'm going to butcher all of this.
That sounded all right enough.
Who is hoping to join the government with the Swedish Democrat Sport, said it was tragic that Andersson should be ashamed of himself. Well, not anymore. You're going to be in his coalition. But again, Mr. Johan, what's wrong with Kabul? Exactly. The Sweden Democrat leader Jimmy Åkesson denied that the tweet was racist, which again I just love. Just like the leader of the Sweden Democrats just does not give a crap.
Good.
He's also right.
Just remember, just say no.
Yeah, just go new. What they're going to do exactly? It's racismus. I don't. It's not.
Yeah, that's the point. When the people throwing names at you only have power for as long as you let the names affect you.
Yeah, and if you just don't, well, you get the government apparently.
If anything, if you just don't let it affect you, they look dumber.
I thought we'd also just check out the local effects the Sweden Democrats have been having whilst they've been around. You have the local response here, of course, from them becoming the biggest, second biggest party in Swedish politics. Sweden just elected a neo-Nazi party to the biggest party in the new extreme right-wing coalition. Oh, no. Oh, neo-Nazis. Oh, God, this sounds terrible.
What are we going to do?
I'm sorry, but Swedes, you do sound like you're singing, but don't worry, the Danish sound like they have a potato in their throat. So, while Sweden has steadily moved in this direction over the last 16 years, it's shocking to think of the implications this election will have on democracy, human rights, and equality. Oh no, no more honor killings. What will Captain Sweden think? It won't be tolerant anymore.
Where will Captain Sweden's strength come from, if not the migrants?
Beatrice over here is just like, Captain Sweden will be swad. We will no longer have a Shura every year in Stockholm.
Beatrice over here putting on her stab vest, making sure she's got her mace as she goes outside for a quick run to the corner shop. It's like, what will we do?
It's ridiculous. She writes, they run an unapologetically racist political platform. Again, what's wrong with Kabul? Tell me exactly what is wrong with Kabul.
It's the same thing that's wrong with Rwanda. It's not here. That's the only problem these people have.
Everywhere is better than Sweden. Sweden is a racist asshole. It can be glorified in any aspect. Foreign places are always better. Foreign people are always better. All cultures are equal. Therefore, what exactly is wrong with Kabul? They can never actually tell you. I mean, it's this weird double standard in which, when it's in Sweden, them celebrating Ashura, it's to be fetishized. It is wonderful. But when it's actually in a foreign land, suddenly they have to be like, oh my God, it's like Kabul. Like, well, what's actually wrong with that? It's a double standard they can't actually think through. And there was a consistent stream of reports and evidence of party members and officials expressing racist, anti-Semitic, and anti-democratic opinions and views. We will have neo-Nazis in our government. I mean, sounds pretty bad if we were to take her at face value. Neo-Nazis in the government, that's not a good thing.
I guess those trains won't be running to Kabul after all. Where are they taking those migrants?
No, so I guess we'll check out what have the Sweden Democrats done locally. I mean, I presume they've built about 5 gas chambers in every marriage they've taken over. Let's go and check out. There's a newspaper reporting on the Fourth Reich, as is being called here. The Sweden Democrats and the town they govern, what have they been up to? The pride flag will no longer be flown from municipal council buildings.
Oh, no. No, tell me it's not true.
F's in the chats, boys.
This is awful.
A sad day for Sweden.
Who else will trans my kids now?
Captain Sweden is crying. They're right in here. With an eye-catching mix of policies, such as a begging ban and hiring security guards to protect the town. That's the law in the UK, if you're wondering. Being a vagabond is a crime. And we have security to protect whatever there is. I don't know why that's radical. I don't know why that's eye-catching. That's so basic, it's ridiculous.
Isn't hiring security guards to protect a town, that's just the police?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're racist, so...
All right, okay.
They also say national media have reported on various controversies. Thousands of library books and artworks have been thrown away. All right, so there's no more critical race theory in the schools, and the menstruation art has been taken out and given back to the owners. No, thank you.
Oh, no.
The pride flag will no longer be flown from municipal buildings, and a councillor said the town would not buy any more art about menstruation. I can't believe this.
I can't believe you've done this.
I usually buy art about menstruation with taxpayers' money every week. Why would I not?
Yeah. Interestingly, to relate it back to the contemplations that you brought up, this is from the excerpts that you're reading out here. Quite an excellent example of a journalist subtly framing everything so that the reader goes, "Not the menstruation artwork. What will we do now?" Without actually, engaging the critical faculties of their brain.
And thinking, why the hell do we need to spend taxpayers' money on menstruation artwork?
Like, because that's an interesting, even the way that they phrase that whole thing where it's like, they've hired security for the town. No, that's just police.
Why would they need to hire security for a Swedish town? I mean, it's all those guys going out with their fika, their little cinnamon buns and coffee, smashing each other up.
I mean, if you go back a few decades, I'm sure you hear nothing but good things about Sweden and Scandinavia being incredibly high-trust communities.
Always been a terrible place, always had grenade attacks. Don't think about it. Nationally, the Sweden Democrats say they will only support a government that deports any foreign convicted of a crime. What? That's the standard now, is it?
Okay.
The Sweden Democrats will only support a government if we deport foreigners who commit crimes.
Doing the sensible thing.
That is so basic. That is so, not even a policy in my mind. The idea that they're presenting this is like, well, the neo-Nazi party, they have some radical ideas. If a foreigner commits a crime, they deport him. Oh. A ban on beggars and stop and search zones to be set up in suburbs hard hit by gang crime. Which, again, all of those policies, how does nobody else want this? How is this like a monopoly the Sweden Democrats have?
I mean,
I can see what they want.
If you were to compare it with, say, suburbs or neighborhoods in America that tend to be hit hard by gang crime, oftentimes you'll find it's the people in those areas who aren't involved in the gangs who are most enthusiastic about increased police presence in those areas. Because, shockingly enough, you don't want your neighbors to all be gang members.
But no one in Swedish politics wants to do that. Instead, they do want the gang members.
Most in America don't want to do it, in politics at least.
If we go to the next link here, you can see just the evidence as well. I'm really happy to report that, just look at that graph. Never goes down. Just only increases election upon election for the Sweden Democrats.
It's only increased the more they've been needed.
Yes, and as you can see, after 2006, everything's 2014, 2018,
It starts to ratchet up.
It's going bad, boys. And there's also just a sad reality of voting patterns that came out of this. If you go to the next link here, you can see most Swedish women voted more for the Socialists and against the Sweden Democrats, which is really gross when you think about it, because it's like, right, so Sweden became the rape capital of Europe because of this, and you're like, yeah, I vote for more rape. Huh. And the men are voting against rape, in case you're wondering. So, good job, lads, I suppose. I suppose more women should join you. If you go to the next one here as well, we can also see just more media mauling about the realities. I was like, oh my god, all the Zuma men are voting for the Sweden Democrats.
All the Zuma men want to protect their girlfriends and wives.
Yes. Funny that. It's also, I did see someone mention, apparently the Green Party in Sweden and the Socialists have suddenly stopped demanding that they lower the voting age. Because in Sweden, the youth are actually like, maybe I would like to own a house and not be raped.
I do think that in a lot of places you are starting to get, obviously, on Twitter it's very visible, the woke, insufferable Zoomers. You get the same thing on TikTok. But there is a nice groundswelling of these younger people who are becoming more and more based because they look over...
They're asking for such a small thing, though. It's like,
I know.
What if we deport foreign criminals? What if we don't import rapists en masse? I'm sorry, but it's so funny.
That's the problem. They're becoming more based because they look over the past few decades and go, wait, why weren't my parents saying that?
Because I remember Andrew Clavin, I've mentioned it before, where he says, the right wing these days are pathetic. It's as a woman, they know, oh my god, support them, it's a huge deal. And then the right wing goes wild. And it's like, yeah, you have right wing Zoomers. Again, if this is the right wing, okay, saying maybe we should deport foreign criminals. And the right wing are like, oh, yes, how based the youth. It's like, not really, but this is the best you can get because the rest of the country is actually insane. If you go to the next one here as well, I also just want to enjoy some of the tears from the media. You have some left wing out here, Expressen, just being like, oh my God. Front page for the last election. Yesterday, 700,000 Swedes voted for the Sweden Democrats. If you scroll down, John. Just to look at the cover. It's so serious, they blanked out the whole page.
Oh my goodness.
We have the enemy within. 700,000 people voted for the bad party.
And that full BLM, just black square page as well.
It's now over 1.2 million, so it turns out anti-rape has an agenda, is a popular agenda. But there's also just the political campaigns out of all of this, I suppose we'll end this off on and enjoy. The Sweden Democrats, going for the memes, of course, like every political party these days. They decided to go with anime memes, which... okay.
Swede weebs unite.
Yeah, so for people listening, the Sweden Democrats decided to put the face of their leader over a bunch of anime, so we'll play some of that, I suppose.
Vi tänker tillbaka på forna dagar och kära traditioner vi i hjärtat har. Styrande blundar och vänder lätt. En garanti om evighet och livsrätt. Och låt oss göra det tillsammans och sträck ut din hand för vårat fina vackra land. Våra Sverige som vi har och vill bevara. Många löften men vad händer sen? Alla frågor ingen verkar vilja svara. Efter regnet kommer sol igen.
Okay, so I will just say that would have been far more badass if there'd been some like heavy metal in the background and not whatever that was.
Yeah, sure. But also, I love the end bit there. It only pops up at the end. Like, I didn't add that. That is literally the guys who run the Sweden Democrat account who just write at the end, thanks for watching, communications department. It's just like...
Edit out text here.
Just in the end, because I love how they're using so formal language as well. Like, this was from the communications department. But, you know, they're not the only ones who are engaging in meme ads. And the Swedes watching will know what is coming. Because there was also the alternative party for the right wing there, the Alternative for Sweden, which obviously based on the Alternative for Germany in Germany. And they started running their own campaign. I don't believe they got any seats, but they did make some really funny ads, including this one here, which is a trad wife candidate who decided to make a trad wife advert. It's all in Swedish. If you're listening, it's not going to make much sense, but you don't really need it to. It's mostly her working through the wheat fields and being pregnant. Let's play.
Sverige är mitt älskade fosterland. Det är landet mina förfäder slet för. Det är landet jag växte upp i. Och det är landet jag lämnar över till mina barn. Sverige med sin storslagna natur. Full av rikedom.
Gets me every time.
I don't know, man. I'd vote for this woman.
Stolta historia och säregna kultur.
Yeah, Sweden has history and culture and varies.
Det är våra
That's the thing. You don't see this anymore in political adverts.
Jag vill ge mina barn i Sverige mina förfäder kämpade för.
Just for this advert as well. Wow.
Mitt älskade Sverige.
So, I mean, there you have that. It's a good advert, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, it does appeal to what you would hope that most Swedish people want, which is family, culture, country, and it seemed sincere about it. Obviously, I couldn't understand the words she was saying, so I assume it was sincere, but still.
Yeah, she's like, you know, Sweden has a great history and culture, and I want to raise my children here, and we have beautiful nature, and blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, just basic statements, but it's just the imagery of her being like, yes, trad wife, want to grow up here.
Look at these berries.
Because it's like, the political message to the men voters is like, protect me, and the message to the women voters is like, you could have this. So, you know, it's not a bad advert either, which is just...
And appeal to what the people want. Women want babies. Men want women who want babies.
Do you want to have a beautiful life with loads of nature and, you know, safe place to raise kids? And men, do you want to protect that?
Come on. Very honourable, very virtuous.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she doesn't seem to have got her position because she ran with the Alternative for Sweden, and therefore they didn't get much votes.
Oh, that's a shame.
Much smaller party. But just the advertising is very funny, to say the least. If you go to the last one here, we can also see just what her posts look like, which of course look like this if you click on the left image there. It's just her with like all these trad women, just like, yeah, this is our movement, which...
It just looks nice. It looks so friendly.
Yeah, just the aesthetics, I must admit, are rather appealing. But otherwise, that is the Swedish voters deciding to vote for the based party and presumably going to get it in government as the coalition talks go on.
We can only hope, because I think you've said that they're, you know, very much about deporting these people and also, I imagine, restricting immigration coming in as it is. So hopefully things are on the up for Sweden.
Yeah, but I suppose on the end of that, I suppose we'll sing Du gamma, du fria. Let's just go to IKEA. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium hangouts we do with premium members on Europe's only indigenous people. Only the Sami, trust me. If you want to follow what else we're putting out, you can follow me on Getter at Callum on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.